Mr. Secretary, have allowed over 10 million illegals, probably higher than that, could be closer to 15 million, we don't know, to invade our country. You've allowed the cartels to make billions and billions. As a matter of fact, you're probably the best business partner they could ever have. I demand that Chuck Schumer holds your impeachment trial in the Senate, because that's exactly what we should be focused on right now. Mr. Chairman, I yield the remainder of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. I'm sorry you had to listen to a lot of misinformation right now and throughout this hearing. And I also, just for the record, you are here. You're doing a very difficult job. Even though some folks are trying to remove you from office, we know that's not going to happen. The impeachment sham against you is dead on arrival in the Senate. And so I look forward to you continuing to do a very difficult job for the country and for the administration. Now, I want to just note, since you last testified, we know that Donald Trump has also become the presumptive nominee of his party. Immigrants like you and me remember and understand and know his dangerous rhetoric and the way he talks about immigrants like us. But I want to go back to his 2016 words. I think it's important to put those back into the record. Quote, "When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists." Now, it's interesting because you and I both know that non-citizens are 60% less likely to actually commit crimes than citizens. And so he's just using this xenophobic rhetoric to demonize migrants that are trying, in many cases, searching for a better life and running away from extreme violent positions in their home countries. And this rhetoric, we know, has continued. Trump calls immigrants who enter the country oftentimes animals. He just did this so recently. And he said, and I quote, this is a quote, "Democrats say, please don't call them animals, they're humans." Trump said, quote, "I said, no, they're not humans, they're animals." This is dehumanizing rhetoric, and it's wrong and unacceptable. Now, Mr. Secretary, does this type of rhetoric fuel violence here in the United States?
Congressman, I'm going to refrain from opining on the words of a particular candidate given the Hatch Act restrictions.
No, I appreciate that. But what I will say, though, is that his rhetoric is wrong and disturbing, and his policies are actually worse. And we know that President Trump has said he would immediately launch the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. I want to now note and talk a little bit about something that Donald Trump has also tried to characterize as we talk about migrants. He and one of his main lieutenants, Stephen Miller, has promised large-scale raids and actually has suggested using National Guard troops, even sending National Guard troops from Republican-led states into neighboring states led by Democrats. And what we're seeing now in Texas, there's real risk there. Certainly if we see National Guards being used this way in the future. Can your opinion about the National Guards being used in Texas?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the precise
Based on what we're seeing now in Texas, do you think there's risk, additional risk, that we could see National Guard being used in a way that could be dangerous at the border?
Congressman, the deployment of National Guard can be an effective force multiplier when it is coordinated with federal authorities, specifically the United States Border Patrol. When it is not, it presents a risk to our efforts to secure the border.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I think we just saw that recently play out in a very dangerous and disturbing way. Now, I want to also note something about the way the incumbent president views migration and the way he views the world. And I think it's important to point out. We know that in 2016, Donald Trump launched his campaign by pointing out that Mexicans are essentially rapists and murderers. We've seen that already. In 2018, he told members of Congress in the Oval Office, when they discussed protecting immigrants from African countries, that he didn't want any migrants from what he called countries. And that's his quote, not mine. Trump then suggested that the U.S. should instead bring more people from countries such as Norway, because apparently they're nice immigrants. And let's not forget that he tried over and over again to ban Muslims coming from this country as well. All the while, he continues to fuel extremism and violence by claiming falsely that he won the 2020 election. Mr. Secretary, can you tell us how policies like denying visas actually undermines our situation at the border?
Congressman, individuals who qualify for visas significantly contribute to the well-being and advancement of this country, and that is quite evident, especially in the economic arena. We've seen that with skilled workers, non-skilled seasonal workers, agricultural workers, and many other avenues. We are enriched by them.
Thank you, sir. I think I'm out of time here, so I'll yield back.